and then the minister will give an opening statement. The chair of the board will follow, and then we'll be able to go to you for questions. Also, there are colleagues that are joining us from YouTube, as well as the WhatsApp group. On the far left, it's Mr. Nasele Mehlomakulu, DDG, Food Security, Department of Agriculture. Ms. Damchisa, as well as from the Department of Agriculture, responsible for blended finance. The Minister of Agriculture, I'm sure she's well known, Ms. Didiza. The Chair of the Land Bank, Ntabi Nkosi, and Lwandile Makupula, who's the Acting Executive for Commercial and Development at the Land Bank. So, colleagues, I'll hand over to the Minister to give her opening statement. She will be followed by the Chair, and then we'll be able to take questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Reggie. One will have to compete with the sound and have a bit of a rally voice, as one does, so that we do not miss anybody here at GCIS, as well as those who may be tuning in online streaming. I'd like to recognize our chairperson of the Land Bank Board, Ms. Thabi Nkosi, Agriculture, Land Reform, Rural Development, DDG for Food Security, Mr. Nasele Mehlomakulu, and also Ms. Damchisa and Lwandile from the Land Bank. It would be amiss of me not to recognize our farmers organization who may be joining in online, watching this important announcement, as well as other members of the Land Bank Board, members of the Treasury, as well as our ladies and gentlemen in the media. Today we meet here to relaunch the blended finance scheme with the Land Bank. This marks, in my view, a positive outlook in the agricultural sector, that the bank is once more getting back into its business. We would all appreciate that the Agriculture and Land Bank remains one of the prime institutions that supports agriculture in respect of agricultural finance. But also, it's important that this is one of the entities, amongst others, that actually has a far reach in terms of primary agricultural financing. We do know that some of our financial institutions support primary agriculture as well as agribusiness in terms of their products. However, their reach may not be as wide as that of the Land Bank. Therefore, to the chairperson of the board members, the Ministry of Finance, and the Department of Agriculture and Land Reform, would like to say congratulations that we're back in business once again. I know farmers are much more happier because this has been one of the sore points in terms of the products that will enable farmers to succeed. In 2018, we launched a pilot on blended finance with the Land Bank, which resulted in 7 successful clients being funded. Through this pilot, we wanted to learn lessons before we expand the program widely. I know other people were saying, but why only 7 clients? But if you look at the volumes of what they receive and what they have given us as lessons in order to do this better as we are relaunching now, is very profound. I'm happy to say all of the 7 farmers that were funded through the scheme have actually continued to farm successfully despite the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic. Collectively, amongst them, they've actually created 88 full-time jobs, as well as seasonal jobs that are there in the sector, depending on the commodities that they are in. What therefore this affirms once again is the capability of the agricultural sector in addressing issues of job creation as well as of poverty in our communities. There are certain lessons, obviously, that we learned out of this pilot. One of those is the need to improve our communications. So as we do today, announcing the scheme, we'll also be relying on you to continue to talk about the scheme so that as many farmers can appreciate what the scheme is all about. Also learn lessons when it comes to our turnaround time, that it did not meet what were our ideal timelines. This was actually partly because our farmers themselves did not respond on some of those communications that we required from them that they needed to put in place before the application, such as the water licenses. Some of them had not done EIAs, particularly on those commodities that they needed to do so, which therefore stretched the time than what we had thought of as 2 months timeline, and it then went further. So in designing the scheme, we've also looked at pre-support so that we can assist farmers in order for them to be compliant with the scheme. We also saw that if you do not put post-support programs after lending, you are likely to face some of the challenges. And I must say that this is not only for your emerging farmers, but it's for all farmers generally, that you need to have an aftercare program to support. And this is what we have put in this program going forward. We also want to indicate that blended finance is just but one product of the bank. However, it is critical in enabling us to commercialize historically disadvantaged farmers. We do have other programs of the bank that would still continue to run, but blended finance scheme enable us to actually reduce the cost of funding for farmers, in particular the gearing capacity. As a state, we actually give 50% grant, and the land bank will give 50% loan in order to make sure that those farmers who apply, if they are successful, will be able to actually undertake their program successfully. What is exciting for us is that this blended finance scheme actually comes at the time after which we have signed the Agriculture and Agro-Processing Master Plan. You may wonder why I'm mentioning this, because last year, 2021, we actually launched another blended finance scheme with the Industrial Development Corporation, the IDC, which we term as the Agri Fund. That Agri Fund was to target farmers in the poultry and in the sugar industry. Particularly after our signing those master plans, it was clear that we needed to have a facility that will assist those farmers as we restructure and make sure that we give enough support for farmers in this industry as we go forward. At that time, we had not signed the Agriculture Agri Master Plan, which actually covers a range of sectors beyond the two that were trailblazers. So in this scheme with the land bank, we've actually included a variety of commodities such as in the grain, which will be your maize, it will be your millet. Look at issues of livestock. It also look at issues of fruit industry, as we know that that's one of our growth areas. So we've really covered a bit more than in the other scheme. It is also important for me to indicate that one of the areas that came out in terms of our Agriculture and Agro-Processing Master Plan was actually the market share that black farmers have in a number of industries, where if we were to do more, they can actually increase in terms of their participation. That in particular is the livestock industry, where currently black farmers only have 11% market share. However, if you look at the areas of the Eastern Cape, rural Eastern Cape in particular, rural KZN, rural Limpopo, you'll find that more of black farmers do have a lot of animals, but if you were to just assist them with farmer support, with biosecurity, they can actually enter in large numbers and their value will actually increase. So these are the issues that we're looking at. The chairperson of the board will also highlight the criteria for qualification. We, in our view, believe that this is important because we want to support successful farmers. We want to make sure that people who enter the scheme will really enable our industry to grow. There are issues that have been raised that relates to how do we work with the other financial institutions. Apart from the work that we've been doing with other financial institutions, they have been conversations with us with blended finance. And I want to say that sooner we will be making appropriate announcement on the participation of other financial institutions. I'll therefore like to ask Tabi to come forth to then deal with the detail of what this scheme is about. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Didiza, and good afternoon to all members of the media and our stakeholders joining us virtually this afternoon. As the Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform has indicated, earlier today, the Land Bank, in partnership with the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, launched the Blended Finance Scheme. The event that took place earlier today not only marked the launch of this important funding scheme, it was also an occasion for us as the Land Bank to provide progress on our performance and to clearly table the way forward as we work towards the revitalization of the entity and move to the goal of more effectively supporting the sector. You may all be aware that the Land Bank has for the past 2 years essentially been in hiatus, not providing finance to new clients. The launch of today's blended finance scheme signals the bank's resumption of lending activities to new clients who meet the scheme. This, after 2 years of great difficulty, is a significant milestone for us as Land Bank. Now, in terms of where this scheme fits into our broader strategic objectives as Land Bank, it is perhaps important to highlight that for us as a board, as we rebuild the bank, we are very clear that the development and transformation of the agricultural sector is essentially at the core of our mandate. For us, the successful delivery of this mandate will really be measured against the extent to which we as a bank are able to include historically disadvantaged persons into the mainstream of the agricultural economy. For many years, a number of plans have been tabled which are aimed to facilitate inclusion and development. And through all those plans, we have learned a number of lessons. One of those lessons is that the successful inclusion of historically disadvantaged persons requires comprehensive support programs that are able to credibly and reliably address the challenges that are faced by first-generation agribusinesses and farmers, and that such inclusion will also need to contribute to the factors that are known to inhibit entry into the sector and also contribute to high rates of entrepreneurial failure that we often observe among developing farmers in the agricultural economy. Now, over the years, you may be aware that there have been a number of programs that have been launched, and we have made some strides as a country in terms of bringing developing farmers into the mainstream. However, overall, we must contend with the fact that our country has a very poor track record when it comes to effectively supporting emerging farmers. It is, however, encouraging to see now, as indicated by Minister Didiza, that these plans that are aimed very specifically at targeting the specific challenges faced by emerging farmers are now included in the Agriculture and Agro-Processing Master Plan. This morning, we reaffirmed the Land Bank's support of the Master Plan, and we will continue to work with the department in the achievement of the very important targets that have been set. Now let me turn to the specifics of the scheme that we are launching today. Starting off with the objectives and the description overall. So inherent in the blended finance scheme that we launched today is the use of a blend of grants from the state and loans from the Land Bank to make the financing of agricultural transactions more viable, bankable, and affordable. The scheme for the bank essentially serves as a credit enhancement tool and provides the bank with an improved lending profile on these transactions by reducing the risk of repayment failures through being able to structure transactions with relatively lower gearing rates than would be the case without the grant component. To further reduce lending risk under the scheme, we will also be incorporating an element of the comprehensive support that I spoke about earlier. The bank will be working with commodity organizations and various other strategic partners to leverage their extensive capability and tailored resources to support the bank's clients, both pre-finance and post-finance. These elements are really built in to allow us as a bank to appropriately balance our objective of development effectiveness with that of commercial sustainability. Getting to the numbers. So the Land Bank, together with the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform, will deploy 1.95 billion rands, which is almost 2 billion rands, over the next 3 years towards the financing of small and medium-scale agricultural producers, with the aim of allowing these producers to commercially participate in the mainstream of the economy and the value chain. The scheme will start with an initial minimum annual grant allocation from the department of 325 million rand for 3 financial years, starting in the current financial year, and the Land Bank will be matching these grants with annual loans on a rand-for-rand basis. Now, this is just the first of many similar schemes that we are currently considering as a bank, and as we progress through the implementation of the scheme and others like it, we will continue to evaluate effectiveness and assess further opportunities to increase our allocations. Now, as I wrap up, I would like to acknowledge that despite the fact that we are launching the scheme today, we acknowledge that the bank's journey to full recovery is ongoing, and we still have a number of pressing challenges that we need to address. I am, however, excited that notwithstanding these challenges, the Land Bank, after 2 years of hiatus, can credibly say that it is back in business and ready to play its role in the market of agricultural finance. For us, the hard work of effectively servicing our clients begins now. Our team is ready, our processes have been prepared, and all 9 provinces are now open to applicants for this blended finance scheme. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister and the Chair. Colleagues, it's that time for the questions. As you all know, your media house, your name and your media house, and then your question. We'll also take questions from WhatsApp, but let's start with questions from the house. Vanessa, do you have anything on WhatsApp? No questions. No questions as well from me. Okay. It means it was loud and clear. Okay. Okay. In the absence of questions, unless we'll wait a bit for you, Val. There's nothing. Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues. This media briefing has come to an end. Do you have requests for one-on-ones? No. Okay. 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 Thank you very much, colleagues. She's coming, Minister. Just want to start with documents. Huh? These documents. Okay. All of them. Yes. Beside the minister. Okay. Is